Hey everyone, Sean here. Before this episode starts, I just wanted to talk about something here real quick. So, this is an interview with myself and Morley Nelson, the director of Uncontained. It was supposed to be part of this Into the Cineverse thing we were doing as kind of like a bonus episode, where we bring on people involved in Cineverse movies. Which obviously Bloody Disgusting is part of Cineverse. So this was going to be the first one. And it's just Morley and I. Joe was unavailable, which brings me to the real talking point here, that Joe is going to be taking some time off. He announced this on our Patreon live show, which by the time this records is like a week past or something like that. So Joe is going to be taking a hiatus from the show. We don't know how long. He just wants to spend more time with his family, and he's got lots going on with work and life, and he wants to put that first, and that is the correct thing to do in life. So, props to Joe for doing that, and I love Joe, and there's nothing more to it than that. So don't be upset. Don't be mad. Joe and I are great, but he just needs to take some time and spend some time with his family, man. That's important. So I appreciate that. So in the interim, we don't know how long it's going to be, or whatever. In the interim, I think I thought about also putting the show on hiatus until he decided he wanted to come back, or if he ever wanted to come back. But I think what I'll do is producer Lexi and I have been doing these side projects like, Into the Cineverse as being one, and also Hollyweird on Patreon. And I've had a lot of fun doing those. They're super fun. And I just enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun, unlike the first run where I left. So, I'm just having a blast. So I really don't want it to end. So what I think is going to happen is I think we're going to be using the feed for a lot of stuff like that, putting out episodes like that. And they won't be called The Horror Show. They will be Hollyweird or Into the Cineverse, or, whatever experimental things I can think up. Maybe I'll have guest stars on to host with me or do a similar format to The Horror Show. But in a sense, the horror show name will not come back until Joe is back. He might be doing some episodes in May. That is to be determined. We will find out soon. So what do I say here? I don't even know. Just don't be upset, I guess. It is a bummer. I understand that. If I had a show and one of the hosts left, I'd be really bummed out. But I think this will be good, and we'll have fun. Keep it rolling, see what happens. So that's that. I'm a mushmouth right now, so hopefully I didn't misstate anything, and I hope you guys understand all of this. So, but yeah, that's that. And just a reminder, we have Salem Horror Fest coming up. That's on May 3rd, Saturday in Salem, Massachusetts. Please come out. Please, please, please come out. This will be the last live show, obviously, based on what I said, for a very long time. So show out for Joe, show out for the show, and come on out to there. The tickets, we will have special passes available on salemhorror.com/tickets on April 15th to 17th. That's the day that just our passes will be available for $25. So please make sure you go on that day. Get your tickets. They're super limited. They're only on sale those 2 days. So come check us out. And yeah, onward and onward. Anyway, guys, enjoy this interview with Morley Nelson. And see you on down the road.
you had a producer. I was like, oh, real show.
Yeah, we pay her peanuts, but she's the best. She's the best.
Yeah. I thought emailed.
Yeah, she gets what she wants is the best part about producer Lexi. She will get whatever she feels like she deserves. So yeah, exactly. Well, hello everybody. I'm here with Morley Nelson, writer, director, actor, and literally everything you can imagine, which we'll talk about in a little bit, in a lifetime. I don't even know how you've done all of these things in a lifetime. How are you, Morley?
You're getting over cold, right?
We're both getting over colds. Yeah. We're struggling. So hope you guys like to hear sniffles because it's going to be the majority of this.
We really bonded before the show. And so it's like, oh man, I love this guy.
Just crying to start that episode.
Yeah. Knock it off, man.
Yeah. Because I can't do anything in a linear order like I ever want to, because I wanted to, I want to talk about the movie, but now we're talking about crying. So I almost cried at the end of Uncontained, your new movie that just came out.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I cried a lot during filming just because it was so hard, but yeah. In fact, I just stopped crying yesterday, but it was just like, oh, the stress is killing. No. Yeah, thank you. The whole goal is connecting with emotions. And I think that's where sorry. Man, I should have learned. So that was my phone. That wasn't me farting. Like, see, that's my phone. All right. So my kids, so I have an alert that sounds like a fart. That wasn't me. I am sick, but that wasn't me. If I fart, I'll own up to it. But yeah, it was, horror is fantastic because I think in the worst case, right, you immediately attach to the character right away because it's like primal emotion, it's fear. Yeah. So you immediately engage with the character. And then it's like worst case scenario. The best case scenario, you can build a relationship throughout the movie with the characters and hope the audience, I totally, even without really, realizing it, you're following along and you're like, I got totally in with this.
Yeah.
With this group. So yeah, I think that's a big compliment. And that's the goal, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it was, I mean, I should just save it, but it's the whole premise was just, I wasn't expecting that kind of emotion at the end, but it really came through. So I just had to say that, but it was great. So as most everyone knows, we're on Bloody Disgusting podcast network, which is owned by Cineverse, who makes and distributes genre movies, and they own Screambox. And Morley's new movie, Uncontained, is not only on Screambox, but it was I guess what we could call it a Cineverse partnership, a Cineverse production.
Yeah. Cineverse production presents, the billing block is Cineverse presents, right?
Yeah.
Or I think it's Cineverse, Bloody Disgusting, and Screambox. So I get like the trifecta.
You got the best, baby.
Yes. Hey, when you see that teaser run, I get chills. I'm like, oh yes. Steve Johnson's distribution company presents, you're like, whoa, made it. You're like, hey, especially as like a horror fan, you're like, oh shit.
Oh, 100%. I've always thought that. Like when you I hope it gets to a point where when people see like Bloody Disgusting at the beginning of a movie, they're like, all right, cool. Like, buckle up. And I honestly, it's interesting because I think Screambox is an amazing service, and they have all these like really high quality indie movies, and I feel like they're not like fully aware of that yet, or they're just becoming. I think that's maybe just starting to hit, but they're really putting out some amazing like independent horror movies, and Uncontained is a standout to me. That I thought it was so great. Can you just give the listeners, because if I do it, I will spoil it. Can you give the listeners just like a quick elevator pitch of Uncontained?
Sure. It's so essentially it comes down to, well, I said without any spoilers. There's a clown.
That's why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. There's a clown that's demonically possessed. And oh wait, no, that's a different one.
That's the other one.
Yeah, that's the other one. No, that's essentially it's a I can't remember the log line now. It's like a mysterious stranger comes
Drifter.
across, drifter, mysterious drifter comes across, two children, one who's trying to protect his younger sister from infection that turns people into a feral-like state, and
Yeah.
and a militia leader looking for his lost daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So it's essentially, I think, the Revenant or 28 Days Later in the Land of the Revenant. Right.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a good way to put it. It is, and it was. We could talk about this later, but the people that rate and review movies are so weird, and especially I feel like in this genre, it can be really tough. I think they're really hard on certain movies, and so I'd seen some of the reviews on this, a lot of good ones, and but there were just some where it was like predictable, and I was watching this, and it's not. It's not like, because I was like, I had that in the back of my head. I'm watching it, and it's like there's some beats that happen, and I'm like, okay, I know where it's going. Nope. Then you would just flip it. You had like 4 flips in this where I was like, oh shit, like wait, we're going somewhere else with this. Like this is not where you think it's going one way, but it's not. It's not what you think it is. Every time you think you know what it is, there's like this little zag where you're like, oh shit, we're going a different direction right now. And I thought it was like really great.
thank you. That means a lot. So I can with confidence say, I mean, generally critics are like, I was explaining to my kids because they're like, how can someone not like the movie? And I'm like, look, it's subjective, and they don't know what subjective is, right? So I was like, well, some people really like chocolate ice cream, right? And some people like vanilla, and some people like strawberry. But it's really stupid for someone to say like, oh, you like strawberry ice cream? You're an idiot. It's like, yeah, like what? I mean, if you don't like strawberry, don't eat it, right? But we have a staying in our house, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, if you don't like it, it's not for you. Like we are not, if you rate your zombie movies based on gore and kill count, then that's not us, right? Because I wanted to find the space that was pre-outbreak, where you start with, what's the story behind one person being infected, and then that becomes 2, which becomes 20, which becomes 40, and essentially at the end, that's where you get to, in the second act, you're in the hundreds. But I worked when I wrote the script. So my favorite genre is horror by far. I was fortunate enough, the first movie I ever did was an M. Night Shyamalan production, and it was a horror movie. So I was very fortunate to be introduced into the film world that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just
which lucky was it?
Devil.
Oh, the elevator one?
Yes, everyone.
The elevator one. I haven't seen that in forever. Oh my god. Yeah. I do remember I liked it though.
Yeah, it was like, again, master of twists and turns, and and again, critics go one way or the other with him, but here's a guy that puts out original stuff all the time that does well, right?
Yeah.
Like people talk about his movies, you may not like him again, might mean maybe you don't like strawberry, right? But sometimes he gives chocolate and sometimes he gives vanilla, and but he never does vanilla. But between strawberry and chocolate, he's good. And I think I strived to stroded. I don't know.
I'm not the one to ask.
That's a different comic. I worked really hard on making it so that, because I love horror, and I especially love the subgenre of zombies or infection films.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, because I love them, that I was able to take the kind of, I don't want to say tropes because that's negative. That just zombie films they flow like a river, right?
Yeah.
In a certain path. And I wanted to throw some rapids in there and just kind of twist and turn. And, earlier we had a lot of, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but we did, our production had a lot of offers for distribution and acquisition, things like that. And one of the companies is a British company. And when we were sending out the screeners for distributors to look at, the service that I use, you can see how much of the film they watched, and where they stopped and where they skipped and how many times they watched, like whatever. And it was interesting because a lot of the kind of the, I guess, the more salesy side, the sales agents or whatever, you could see they watched like the first 20 minutes, right? And then you'd see they'd skip through the film.
Oh,
Whereas the distributors and the studios watch like 20 times. And you can see like there's some moments where they'd look like they rewatch 5 to 10 times. And I asked the British distributor, I said, what, you get a lot of lip service. Everyone says they love your film and they want to
yeah.
acquire it, right? But I was like, well, what is it that you liked about it? And he said, and I watched what he watched, and he said, I was watching the film, and most films we watch, he's like, I watch a ton of films all the time. Like I'm just watching films and I claw my eyeballs out because I watch so much film, right? And it's like, well, that's maybe you should retire or whatever, but or take a break. But he was like, well, he's like, usually I skip ahead. I watch 5 minutes and I'll skip ahead because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen at the 5 minute mark, the 11 minute mark, the 29 minute mark, right? Where
Yeah.
you usually have the inciting incident. What's the movie about? Really, at 27, 29 minutes, you can kind of figure out what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And he gave like one of the best compliments, and he said, like he's like he's like I couldn't skip ahead on your film because if I did, I was totally lost.
Yeah.
And he's like very few films we have where it's like each scene is dependent on the one before it. And I was like, well, thanks. That means a lot. And also no, but so it was like um it was a great compliment, but thankfully I didn't say yes to him, and then we ended up with Cineverse, which was a
Yeah.
great like grab for us. But um, they're fantastic. But yeah, I didn't want to. I wanted to do something unique, and I wanted to do something that was kind of like a moral question because
Yep.
I feel like George Romero, the grandfather of all zombie films, right?
Sure.
If you rewatch Night of the Living Dead over a few times, I mean, that's a pretty ballsy movie to shoot back then, right?
Oh,
You have
it's
like
crazy.
like black guy is the main hero, and late six was that 68 he shot that or whatever, like,
Yeah.
or maybe I'm wrong, but in the time that there was political turmoil and there's racism and you had all the just a ton of protesting, and then you have a guy who decides that he's going to make a black guy the lead of his film, and it was kind of a snapshot of the times, right?
Right.
But also introducing the idea that you have these five strangers put together under horrible circumstances, and then you get down and you have that jerk dad and the mom, and then their daughter gets infected. There's that famous scene where the mom can't kill her, and she's like kills the mom. Um, but I feel like as many great series and movies and games that we've had centering around zombies, we kind of, I think, in the last 20 years have kind of lost that moment where you're like, well, I can't kill a loved one, right? Like
Yes.
now I mean, look at 28 Days Later is a perfect example, right? Like he might be infected, kill him, it's like hacking him away, like not even
Right.
hesitating, right? It's like, oh, done, dead. It's not how many times, I mean, if you saw a zombie film right now or an infection film and somebody said, well, it's not your kid anymore, or it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
shut up, just kill them. Like what, so I wanted to do something that got us back to what if there's a less than 1% chance that they could change back? Like what?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I always think that's not highlighted enough in zombie movies. Zombies were probably, it's weird because like after we started doing the show, it became like a weird thing for me where it was like, I watch so many of them now that I've lost that perception of like, oh, I love zombie movies. You know what I mean? Like now it's just like I watch so many, but really I'd say zombie movies are probably what brought me in truly, where I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's the best like quandary where it's like, what do you really do in that situation? Because, and we talk about it a lot in the show with like, it's so easy to be like, well, I'd kill that person. And it's like, but would you like, because
Yeah.
if you wouldn't know, you're experiencing something that is not real, like that's never been real in your life, like people coming back from the dead. Like you wouldn't be
Yeah.
like, that person's back from the dead. You'd be like, what is happening right now? Like my brain
Right.
can't even comprehend this. So yeah, I do. It's so interesting. And Night of the Living Dead was just so great at that. And I do think there's elements in your movie where it poses some interesting dynamics, I guess. The key players in it, the kids being involved in it. I really loved what you did with these people that come in to the space of the movie. I thought it was very unique. I thought that was a super unique way of doing you always see the looters or whatever. It's like the guys that have the evil intentions, and they're evil. They have these evil intentions, and they're just using it to gain advantage in this like post-apocalyptic world type of scenario. And you introduce these people in a similar vein, but totally different in a way where you're like, I think these are just people. Like, I think these are just normal people. Like, are they good? Are they bad? And maybe there's no real answer to it. I think because it's so early in the process too, that you're like, they're not like weathered. Do you know what I mean? They're not like battle tested or anything. So it's a really cool way of doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one thing I want to make sure that I did with the characters was that they have to feel real, right?
Yeah.
In a sense too, where it's like, these are kids, and
right.
You don't really come across. I mean, you don't come across people that are like, oh, there's some kids, fuck them, kill them, like fuck 'em.
Yeah.
Like that's just not in human nature, right? Like it doesn't matter if your kids or not, they're kids, right?
Oh yeah.
And in fact, if you like, in this situation, you have two people that are somewhat familiar with the kids, right? One guy plows the driveway, knows the
Yeah,
kids,
exactly.
Right? His girlfriend, right? So they have a somewhat of a relationship, and it can go both ways. It could be very protective, or like 97% of all child abductions are by people that the kid somewhat know, right? So it could be that route too, right? And that's the other thing with like the main antagonist, right? He's a mirror antagonist to the or actually to a bunch of people. He's like this antagonist who is the exact same as the mother, right? They have the same morals and values, right? That the values are, I'll do whatever it takes to protect my family. Like what lengths would you be willing to go to protect your family? The same, but just different ethics on how they execute that, right? Like, how are they going to?
Really cool,
right? Thank you. But you touched on something too that you're talking about how the zombie subgenre brought you into this, and how it put you in the place of like thinking like, oh, if I was in this world. And that's a thing that drives me nuts about I don't want to like shit on the studio system, but one thing that drives me crazy about a far too many executives or producers at a higher level all like crap on horror, right? They're just like, it's so easy to do. Just get some gore and kills, and that's horror fans. You watch anything, and it's like, it's what genre are you? First of all, fuck off. Like that is what a load of shit. Like, right? Like,
100%.
Who's more just who's more discerning when it comes to any kind of genre at all, right? Like we horror fans we don't tolerate shit, right?
Yeah.
Like we look for stuff. But the other thing that horror fans do that I would argue no other genre does is we look for something that's mental. I mean, we want mental stimulation, right? Like like you said, putting yourself in that position, like what if there was a zombie apocalypse? I love that stuff. Like I love watching a movie and going, yeah, man, if I were in that world, I'd pack the family up and we'd head north, and I know exactly where we go and what supplies we'd grab on the way, and I might go back, and right. But I have yet to watch a drama where I'm like, oh yeah, in that world, I would be really sad, and I would grab some tissues, and I would go talk to my neighbor and have some. I mean, that just doesn't. It's not even part of the conversation, right? And when you watch a drama or you watch, and don't get me wrong, I love dramas. Some are great, right? But how many dramas do you watch where you're like, 2 days later, you're talking about that, like, oh man, the concept in that drama was amazing. Or, a month later, you're like, oh, if I was in that if I was in that neighborhood where that guy cheated on his wife, I have not been able to stop thinking about that. If I was the neighbor, I wouldn't be able to stay silent. No one talks about stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
If I were a cardinal in conclave, I would have voted for this guy to be
Like,
Pope.
yeah, I mean, it's just not that's a great point. Like you look at a lot of the Academy Award nominations, and while a lot of those films are fantastically made and
Right.
can't really criticize them at all, but that fan of those genres, they're like, yeah, great movie, you got to see it, but that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre forever because you're just like, oh shit, there are family. Ted Bundy was a real person, right? Ed Gein was a real person. Like, what was that like? We have a connection. I think there's a level of verisimilitude where it's like, yeah, this is partly real,
Yeah.
but also not, right? But you're tickling your brain, be like, oh, and that's what horror does, right?
Yeah.
I don't think,
Really.
right? Maybe science fiction.
Yeah, but no, even that, it's horror is like the only one where and we always say it like there's so many movies, maybe almost all of them that we've covered, where it's like, so at what point do you just try to fucking leave? Like, what point are you,
Right, yeah, right.
what time to go home? Like we say it like every movie, like, you know what? At this point, I'm out. Like, I'm done, or I just die on the spot, like from a heart attack, because it's just like too much for me. Like,
So my son just turned 11. We're starting to watch like 80s horror because for his
yeah.
generation, it's not as scary because it's something that was the grandfather of something else, right? Or the father for some other thing, right? So, and the special effects at the time were phenomenal, but today, kids are just like, whoa, why does it look like a Muppet, or whatever?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, don't shit on my favorite film. Like, how could you say that about Alien? No, anyhow, I didn't show me, but
Well, I showed my son. My son's 12, and I had a similar experience too, where it was like, okay, like this movie scared me when I was a kid, and then we watch it, and he's like, I know all of that's fake, and I'm like,
yeah,
all right, don't be a fucking brat about it, but like,
right, like
I
what?
didn't at the time, but like,
yeah, you're yucking my yum, like yeah, and they inevitably, like, he asked the question because he's smart. He asked me like, well, why wouldn't they just leave? And I constantly catch myself saying like, well, because there'd be no more movie. Like, the movie would end. That's not that. And it's like, okay, that's not a good answer. Like, stop questioning that. I think the other thing too, I think we're at a point in society where it's like this either or thing. Like either the film's good or it's bad, right?
It's such a weird area that we're in right now, and it kind of bums me out. And it's a very, and even when we first started the show, we've been doing this now 10 years, which is insane. But when we started, we were really like negative about a lot of the movies and I think it was because it was easier to be, it's easier to be negative in my opinion. And it's easier to make jokes and to make negative jokes. And so when we took a break, we took a hiatus, and we came back, and it just was a much more positive vibe that we do. And it's, I don't want to say it's harder. It's not harder. My freaking TV. Oh, okay. It's not harder, but, it's just a different thing. But you see these things on the internet, and it's just like, I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. I don't understand why it's yes or no. Me and my son were just talking about this with, the Minecraft movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because the internet has already decided that it sucks. And it's so bizarre. And it's also, hey, maybe it's not made for you. Like, I don't like, because my son's like super excited about it. And even he's like, it looks kind of weird, but like, I don't know, like maybe it's not. And I was like, great thought process. I'm 100% on board with that. But it is this weird thing where it's like, you have to take this hard stance of whether you like it, and you have to defend it with everything in your heart, or you hate it. And you need to let everybody know how bad it is, or whatever your opinion is on it. And it really bums me out. And one of my questions was like, how have you dealt with that so far? Because I think these smaller genres, or these smaller fandoms, where it's like Marvel or DC or whatever it is, these like little cosms of fandoms. They just are so they can be so great sometimes, and they can like they have these great communities, but what also comes from that is just this like this movie fucking sucks, and it's like, hey, are you serious right now? Like, and I mean, even with podcasting, it's like the same thing. We get reviews. Lexi sent me an email she got last night that was like insane, and it's just like, hey, you could go listen to anything. Like like I I don't even think about that. If I listen to something I don't like, I'm just like, I'm not going to listen to this again. And that's the end of that for me. that's a wrap.
To like type out an email and send it. It's like, okay, wait,
It's wild.
are you, what is your life not full of? Like, go do something else. Like, go clean your room or something. I don't know. Go clean the toilet. Like, don't, yeah.
Or just go listen to something else better. I'm sure there are better ones than us. Like but it's just go listen to them. I don't know. Like,
but it makes me sad that you default to that, where you're like, oh, I'm sure there are better ones, and that, I think that's human nature. No, maybe. I mean, it depends on people's tastes.
What you're saying is right. It's like, yeah, it shouldn't say that because it's not. It's just the subjective opinion, and it's like, exactly. Yeah, just go find the thing that fits for you.
I hate in general, regardless of genre. I hate when people have this opinion. They see something. I don't care if it's a poster, a teaser, trailer, whatever. All of a sudden, they're like, the movie. They haven't even seen the movie yet, right? And they're just like, oh, fuck this, and I'm never going to see this, and we need to protest this film, or we shouldn't see that, and no one should see that. It's like, it's not you haven't even seen it. Like, who are you to like hurt somebody else? I mean, and at the end of the day, too, films are hard to make. I don't care if you have $50,000 or $50 million, right? You're dealing in a medium where you have people, and there's just people are chaotic, right? So if you're lucky enough to get something that gets money, and then that money is made to hire people, and then you have all this chaos while you're shooting, and hopefully everything gets right, and you get all that done, and it's captured on, you have it in a card, and then there's all these technical issues that could go wrong. Maybe something, right, like something fails, it didn't transfer right.
Yeah, no, it's
stuff. And then you get done, and then people are like, and even people in your inner circle, some people are like, well, I don't want to promote this until you might have talent that's different, right? Or you might have somebody that is like, even like might even be too enthusiastic. Like there's everything is like a problem. It's just crazy to make movies. And then they release, and on top of all that, people are like harshing on everything. It's just like, or like somebody reviewed our movie, and not like a critic, but like just somebody, and they were talking about like, oh, I just watched Uncontained on Screambox or whatever, and I don't think that I didn't like that there were kids in it. It's like, okay, well, or it's like, well, then then you didn't like it. That's great, but what about the positive stuff? Or there was one even that I was listening to, and they were like, there's something I can't find what's wrong with this film. Like there's just something, and I'm sure it's there, but I can't. It's like, well, does there have to be something wrong with the film? Can't you just enjoy it? Like, or
it's just such a, I don't even know. And it even goes like the flip too, which drives me nuts. At one example, I think we've even talked about it on the show. We know there was this kid that we used to hang out with, and the group Run the Jewels, the rap group. They were dropping, I think it was their second album. It hadn't come out yet. And he said, that's album of the year. And I remember Joe and I were with him, and we were like, how do you know that? Why is that just automatically decided? And not to even be like, it's not. Like, what is this weird thing that we live in now where it's just like, we just make these decisions in advance. We don't even need the product. We've already made the decision. This is what it's going to be. End of story. And it's like, what is this?
We don't live in a black and white world as much as I think we were brought up in this culture of like, it's right or wrong, black or white, yes or no, or even ranking. Like it kind of drives me nuts that film festivals have a winner.
Point. Yeah.
Right. Like who's this jury of, not even the same jury. They have different people in the jury every year, right? That's like a big deal to get
Yeah.
selected on a jury. And then they get together and they decide like, well, this movie A is better than this movie B. And it's like, well, says who? Like to you, but based
Yeah.
on what? Like some subjective, and why does there have to be one that wins and one that, right?
You know what else is kind of in that same vein? I've used this example. I grew up with pro wrestling, so I have this like insane knowledge of it. But there's always this example that I use, and I remember Joe's like a big hip hop guy, and I remember we were talking about Lil Wayne, and as like a hardcore hip hop guy, he was like, Lil Wayne's kind of like overrated and blah blah blah. And I remember I just thought of this, and I was like, it's not. It's like you have to look at it as success as like different things. And there's Hulk Hogan who sold out arenas, sold merch. Was he the most technical wrestler? No, he wasn't at all. But he knew how to sell things. He knew how to entertain people, and it worked. And then there are amazing technical wrestlers that are great. And like the hardcore fan base will be like, that's the best wrestler in the world. And it's like, but is it like who's the best? Who's the best? Hulk Hogan because he sold out arenas and gave everyone a job, really, or is it these guys that And I think there's no answer. It's just both. We could have all of it. We can enjoy.
Yeah, why exactly? Why can't you just enjoy things? Watch something, and if you like three-fourths of it, great. It entertained you. That's the purpose of wrestling or movies or podcasts
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like is entertainment, and hopefully, if you're lucky, every now and then you might like touch somebody's soul, or somebody
Yeah.
might have an emotional reaction or whatever. And that's the goal of, I wouldn't say it's art necessarily. I know a lot of people do, but it is
Yeah.
subjective like art, right? Like
I think everything is art in a way. I think that there is a subjectivity to like everything, and I think anything could be seen as art. Even art is anything that you're creating. I feel like should be looked through a lens of like there's no right or wrong in this.
so you're like Einstein, either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle.
Right, kind of. Like I do think you can find art in anything. Like my day job is, I don't want to say it's mundane, but it's a desk job, but I love it so much, and I think there's an art to things I do, and it's nuts. Like, is an Excel spreadsheet art? No, but it's like the way I handle that and the way I handle data and things. It's like I think there's an art to that and an art to like dealing with people. I think you can find really art and like joy in like almost anything you do. I think when people look at it like that, I think they have a little more fun.
Yeah, and I think their perception of other things too is a lot easier.
Yeah, that's
life
true.
easier and they're happier. This whole, again, the whole like yes or no, black or white. That stuff doesn't interest me, right? Like the whole thing, like, oh, you should never. I mean, we're brought up in that, like, oh, never lie. Either you're a liar or you're not. Don't ever lie. It's like, don't ever lie. That's shit. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, you don't ever lie. We lie all the time. Like, who doesn't lie? Are you throwing me a surprise birthday party? Yep. I invited everybody. It's tomorrow night, and that's why I said we were going to dinner. It's actually a surprise party, right? Or that doesn't make any sense. Or how many people are in the house? Just 5 other people are hiding. You wouldn't have found them, but I'll show you where they are. So, and it's like, you can never lie. It's just like, no, it's gray is what. Plus, I think when you're talking about the people in general or dealing with human beings, we're all dynamic. We're all unique and different, but we have things that bond us and bring us together.
Yeah.
Right. And I forgot. A lot of people aren't watching this. So when I make hand motions and stuff that they're not seeing, like the interesting stuff that I've been doing.
Now we do the Spotify video. Now we do the YouTube.
So enough
and stuff. Yeah, I think so.
Or whatever. I can't remember. My son hates it when I do that. Whatever. Mewing. You have a quote, girl.
I do know. And you have a jawline to do it, my friend. I have to. Your jawline is fucking crazy. It's so good. First thing I noticed in the movie, I was like, this motherfucker's jawline. Like, I have to put a beard on to like try and make it look like I have one. But
no, we had that. It was the only time I've been really embarrassed about it was right after we had the premiere. This woman that I don't even know who she was. She just came out after, just like, "Can I get a selfie?" I was like, "Sure." And then she said, "Is your job real? Who did you go for that?" And I was just like, "This might not real." Like, no, it's makeup. Like, come touch it. No, I'm like,
It's
is there a surgery that can give you a jaw? I guess maybe there is. I don't know. Like,
these kids have like things that they chew on. No, I think, yeah.
does that really work?
I don't know. I feel like you're just going to get like, what is that? TMJ. I have TMJ. I feel like that's all they're going to get from it, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. When I get stressed, I do this. I don't know if you can see it. I'll go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do that. And then my kids are always like, "Are you mad?" I'm like, no, why? Why do you?
How do
And I already have RBF to begin with. So my daughter at least is constantly like, "Dad, are you mad?" I'm like, no, remember, it's just my happy face. Right. And they're like, okay. So, and two, when I just sit and I'm thinking about something, people are like, "Are you mad about it?" Like, it's just my face. Like, I just look
Yeah.
at this. I'm sorry. I'm smiling on the inside. I'm a giggly person, like, but I just don't look like it. So, but yeah, I think the idea that we have to, also the whole like star thing. It's always crazy to me when people are like, "Oh, this movie's the best zombie
Oh,
movie I've seen in 10 years. 3.5 stars out of 5." You're
it's
like,
so
"Wait,
nuts.
what? Like,
It's so
wouldn't that
nuts.
be, wouldn't that be 4 at least? I mean, you can bump it up to, like, do we have to be, and I guess it goes back to the other one too. It's like, do we have to be so critical about something that you absolutely have to find the one thing, right? Oh, I saw
Right.
a reflection. I saw a reflection in the window. It's like, well, if you're watching a movie for finding flaws in it, then don't watch movies because you're not enjoying the whole purpose of the
Right.
movie to begin with, right?
Yeah, just get lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That,
I think it's not, I think a lot of people, I think in the 80s and 90s, execs in marketing were all like, "Oh, people need to go to film to escape. Like, times
yeah.
are tough and your obsession, we need to escape. And COVID, people need movies more than ever to escape." And I don't know if it's necessarily today. Is it escape, or is it we're actually looking at something that we feel connected? Right.
I, yeah, I actually think I think we're entering a really weird world where it's not even a focus. It's something that is on while you're on your phone and you're not even ingesting it. And then you're picking your head up, you're noticing whatever flaws or whatever, and then going back to your phone. And then I
Yeah.
see a lot of reviews where I can kind of like pinpoint. I'm like, this person was on their phone watching this movie, I think, because
Yeah.
they didn't get it. Like they didn't
Yeah.
pick up on the things that they needed
Well,
to. But
so I read an interesting stat the other day too, when you're talking about phones and not paying attention. I think I could be wrong, but I think it was like for people 30 and under, 86% of what they watch.
it's crazy. It's crazy. And now studios and streamers they're making products. They're making entertainment that fits into that that concept and that culture of they don't want it to. And Bill Simmons of The Ringer, I don't know if you know him. He's a basketball guy. He just produced this HBO documentary on the Celtics, and they wanted him so badly to just put it all out and do it. And he's like, I knew if I did that, people would binge it, they would play it, and they would watch 30% of it, actually. And he's like, I just wanted everyone to just sit, wait week to week, and digest each episode. And I think it worked. I think it worked out for him.
I think it's crazy how we're coming back to that, right? Like Max does it a
Yeah.
lot, where it's like there's a great series called The Pit, and
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
only on Thursday, and you got to wait, and you're like, fuck, it feels like forever between. Like, I'm watching ER right now because I'm just like so
You
desperate
know
to,
what?
like, oh,
Yeah.
next episode. But that's back to where, like, when we were kids, right? Like, you had to wait sometimes, right? You couldn't
Appointment
binge
viewing.
entire. Yeah, right. And you had to wait for things to load, or you had to, and the other thing too that's coming back because they can't make profit. Like, I don't know, wherever that was the greatest pitch and the greatest lie that everyone's jumped on, that like, oh, we'll just stream everything and we'll be
Right.
profitable once we have enough subscribers. It's like, you don't have enough. You can't have 20 or 200 platforms at
No.
$20 a month and expect people to be on like 5 of them. right?
Right.
Or 4 of them, 3 of them. You want to say hi?
The star.
Yeah, there she goes. Bye. But the idea too that like, okay, we just get enough subscribers and we'll be profitable. It's like, okay, that didn't work for anybody because why would it?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. There's not enough people on the planet and not enough money on the planet to subscribe to more than 2 or 3, right? So the idea that ads are coming back into streaming
is so funny,
right? It is, and it's like, of course, the ads are what sells your, but there's another opportunity for people. I think it's interesting how things work in cycles because, like you said, people are looking at their phones while they're watching something. Well, now we put ads back in. You can go on your phone while the ad's playing, and then you can finally watch. Right. So I think it's the benefit of the content creator that we actually do have ads again.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great point. Yeah, it's an interesting industry.
It is. Like it's a lot of people, I think, again, I was fortunate enough to start on like the studio side and the network side of things. I was I was a cop before.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. We've gone on this. We went on this road for a little while. I was like, so yeah, I wanted to. Can we segue into that right now, real quick?
Sure. No,
no, just
have Lexi edit everything out. No, I'm kidding. We should actually. Are we recording? Should we start now? Do you want to? I'm kidding. Yeah. No, I was a cop for.
Yeah.
Like it was just really hard. So having the opportunity to work on a film where I was an advisor, helping the actors, not just this is how you hold a gun and this is how you move, but why do cops feel this way, or what's the thought process behind doing this, right? And that was my in. And so I was very fortunate that I started off that M. Night Shyamalan production was a $40 million production.
So that's how you started, was like as this person that could help. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Just totally lucky. It's just like I was so fortunate. Like by the grace of God, I lucked into that. Right. Like it was a horrible point in my career, and then all of a sudden it's like, in fact, my wife and I were on our honeymoon, and we get this email, and it's like, what? Fly us up to Toronto, Canada? What? So I ended up, shooting that or working on that project in Pinewood Studios. And then while I was there was another project that I don't know if they fired or let their technical advisor go, but that was like $100 million film. And fortunately, their production team talked to the other production team, and they're like, oh, just use our guy. And so then I like right away jumped onto another project, and then
that's cool.
And yeah, I was very fortunate. And in Hollywood, they're always afraid to do anything new or try somebody that hasn't done anything yet. But once you've done the 1 or the 2, then they're like, oh yeah, use this guy. He did this.
Oh, that's
so awesome. Then it allowed me to do like series, and then that allowed me to get into video games. And
so there's 2 items on your little list that I want to talk about. So one is for producer Lexi, 11/22/63.
Yeah.
Advisor on that, or what were you doing on that one?
Well, so I thanked him at our movie premiere out in LA, but when I did that first movie, the writer on that is a A-list writer, and his name is Brian Nelson. He wrote Hard Candy, 30 Days of Night.
Oh, yes.
Right. Like he's A-list, just a great guy, really nice. Not knowing anything about bedtime. Not knowing anything about the hierarchy of film or what you should do, or that like etiquette.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, can you teach me how to write? I just read my first script ever. And, like today I'd be like, are you stupid? Don't ask him.
Yeah.
Like, him? But he was just like, yeah. So he ended up, he'd give me stuff to read. He'd tell me like, read these books, don't read these books, read these scripts. He was sending me scripts. I was just like, whoa, okay. And then he was always available for a call, email, no matter how busy he was. He was great. And then he read like 5 of my first horrible scripts, like my very first 5. And he's great at notes, and he reads the whole thing, and he's very encouraging. He's not like, no, stupid, no, like he's just like,
Yeah.
is there a better way to say this, or maybe less words, or what? So he was great. And then he was writing on a project, the Hulu Bad Robot series 11/22/63, which is based
Yep.
on Stephen King's novel. So I got brought out there to advise, and then while I'm advising, the director of the final episode, James Strong, who's also a great guy, just lucked out. He's a BAFTA winning, like multiple BAFTA winning director from England. Really nice guy. He's directed like Doctor Who, and I can't. He's directed like some of the most popular dramas and action series in England. There's one with a sub. I can't remember the name of that. But anyhow, really nice guy. And usually when I advise on something, I'll say, here's 5 different scenarios that you could do with the cops, or here's 5 different ways they could approach this scene, or whatever.
Okay.
So I give them 5 options, and then they can pick some, and then I'll work with them to figure out how to do it. And in this case, he was just like, no, you do it. And all of a sudden I was like, what? Do what? And he's like, oh, you just do everything. You just take care of it. And I was just like, okay. So, so for the motorcade scene where, we had the Kennedy assassination, we were in Dealey Plaza at the actual location where Kennedy was shot. We're using all original 1960s vehicles, motorcycles. I believe that there's over 400 extras wearing actual clothes from the 60s.
That's so crazy.
And then we shot, and you're shooting in Dallas, Texas. And I think it was like 110 degrees.
It gets pretty hot down there.
Yeah, it was phenomenally hot. And then, and it was just like, oh shit, so when you get a chance like that, especially in the film industry, you just take it. So,
oh yeah,
that was like my first introduction to like, oh, here's how we make all the stuff work, right? So, being able to do that was like I think I have been observing and talking and doing smaller segments long enough where that once I had the opportunity, it was either going to be total failure or success.
Yeah.
So I leaped on it, and that it just worked out really well. But it was a fantastic. Everyone on that was wonderful. Like you
That's
can't
awesome.
ask. And it's like it's really weird working on productions like 2,000.
Yeah.
Right. And not one of them is ever sitting on their hands. They're all like running around. It's super efficient. And they're all dedicated.
So,
yeah, it's crazy because you think like the thing again, you never hire anybody unless they've done something. So those crew on a production like that have worked their way up over years, right? They've put more than put their dues in. So you're really fortunate. You get everyone at their peak of their careers, right? Like they really know. All the experience is just fantastic. And I think a lot of times too, when you get involved with projects with people that you like and know, you are guarded against the eggshell ego that is far too many people in our industry. Like I think that ruins more projects. Like I don't have tolerance for ego. Like it just no, this is, yes, production's hard, and yes, it's demanding. Like in our, I should talk about our film a little bit. But like in our film, it's all practical, right? Like we had the scene where there's one non-practical scene, but I don't want to give away which one it was. But we shot in, I think the average temperature we shot in was -10 or -15 below. And then the wind chill, the coldest wind chill we had was -45. So we're all that stuff is all real, and it's insane to shoot in those.
That's nuts because you're laying in the snow for like way too long, way too long in knowing that. There's multiple scenes of you in the snow, and it's like knowing that it's that temperature out. I don't know how you did that. That's the end.
Without giving away a spoiler, the one where I'm naked was phenomenally cool. Like that, we were shooting it, and you psych yourself up and you lay down and you're like, okay, shovel it on, and then you get, snow shoveled on top of you. You're already freezing. Um, and in your head, you're like, oh, it'll be warmer like a blanket. But really, you're like, oh shit, is this
No.
death? Is this like,
Yeah.
I can't, is my nose going to fall off? Like what? And then I remember telling the DP and the Go Hakala, telling him like, okay, this is one fucking take. Like I do not want to do this over. So be ready. Right.
Yeah.
So we did it. And the second I like jump out of the snow, he's like, oh shit. And I was like, no, like, are you fucking, no, whatever. So we had to do 2 takes, and it was really, really hard to get my brain to convince my body to lay down again and go through it all over again. So it was just like, right. So then, you lay down and you're worried about like pieces of you freezing off, and like, so it went through the process again. And then it was really, I think for me personally, the best part of the film was working with a bunch of people like it was family. And then actually working with my family, with my kids and my wife and my dog.
Yeah.
But the worst, personally for me, the worst was after just doing those scenes, I couldn't stop shaking. I started to get hypothermia. And it was really interesting to sit in the truck trying to warm up and looking at my legs, and my body wouldn't stop shaking. Yeah. And I remember my brain, I'm like, okay, stop shaking. Like, looking at my legs, like trying to use the force or something, like stop shaking. And my legs would not stop shaking. Like they just kept vibrating. It was just like, and then again, DP Bohakala was like, should we go to the hospital? Whatever. And just like, as I'm shaking away, I'm just like, no, like in my man voice, I'm like, no, it's fine. We got in this far. Let's just go home. I just need different clothes, whatever. Or can you get me a pair of pants? Whatever. But it was just like, so it was, that stuff. But that's, I think, when you have a tight knit crew, shooting in below zero weather you have to have a tight knit crew that loves it and is family, because on your best days, their fingers don't work as well. Like it's the same thing essentially. Like your brain is saying do this, but your muscles are tight, so
there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
No, like our art department, Jason Thomas. I mean, he's trying to put decals on cars, or he's trying to get, he's trying to use his screwdriver and screw something, and it's just like it's not working, and it takes him 10 minutes longer or 20 minutes longer than it normally would. And same with the camera. Bo is trying to operate the camera and he's doing things, but his fingers aren't working. And then the batteries like die 10 times faster, right? So you just have to have a ton of batteries because the cold is like, and then you deal the these super expensive lenses fog up. So you have to deal with the fog factor, and you have to.
So interesting. I never really thought about that.
It was an insane process, but at the same time, well, then also, our antagonist, Peter O'Mara, he's from Ireland, right? Great character actor. Like the guy is phenomenal.
Yeah, he was awesome. He's the militia leader. Yeah.
He's I tried to sprinkle a little bit of comedy, and like one of his lines when his daughter's like, Haley LeBlanc is like, I love you, Dad. And he's like, I know, whatever. It's just like, how do you not laugh at that? But at the same time, because he's such a good actor and you're in that moment, you're like, oh man, this guy's tough. Kids, like that's harsh. Like here's what. So, but it's interesting that he went from, you're acting outside. He was not familiar with being weathered that cold, right?
Yeah.
And so he's delivering his lines, and his lines are kind of like, well, we don't tolerate strangers. But after one take, because it's the wind chill and everything, his face muscles, like tense up, and you're like, then it goes to like, and you're like, oh, we got to get cut, we got to go warm up, and then you get the face warmer and everything, and wardrobe.
Crazy.
Carrie Riley, with this awesome head of department for wardrobe. Her name is Carrie Riley, and I don't know where she gets this stuff, but she had a gigantic bear, like an actual bear skin coat, or not a coat. It was like a bear skin, and she would wrap it around him, and then she'd get these like awesome mitts, and then she had this like face warmer earmuff thing, and I was just like, what? Yeah, I mean, I didn't know those things existed, but that's amazing that she was. And then we got a lot of all the other actors besides my family are from LA. And
Okay.
so we prep them with like boot warmers, mitten warmers,
Yeah.
because characters like Peter, he has to look tough. So his wardrobe wasn't allowed to be anything that would keep him warm. Right.
Right.
It's
Right.
the cattleman gloves he's wearing, those are paper thin, especially in the
Right. Yeah,
they
that's a
don't
good
do
point.
right. And then where's my character? I made sure that I was going to be warmer than anyone else because you got to take care of yourself. No, I'm kidding. But I'll never forget too there is something to be climatized. And Peter was out there, I think, our first day, and he was like, he just seemed like, oh, he'd go ahead and you kill those people, whatever. And then cut. He's like, oh, there's nothing in my hands that I can feel. Like I don't know that. And you're just like, we need to warm you up. And then he's like, is my nose gonna fall? Are my eyes gonna freeze? And I'm just like, and then also my kids go running by and they're like t-shirts and like, and they're like, whatever. And you're just like, well, they're climatized, like they're
right,
kids, right? Yeah, but yeah. So it was, and for a lot of people too, there was questions. People from like Florida that had moved to LA, so they only knew about being warm. And we had questions like, how long before? We're like, I read on Google that your skin will freeze in 3 seconds. And it's like, it could, but not really. Like, you don't have to worry about. We'll have heaters and stuff like that. And we always had a car standing by that they could jump into, and then
that's smart.
Yeah, but it was like, having a very small budget there was a lot of prep that I went into. And again, having a great team where they're just on it. Even having like an intimate crew. I think at most we had maybe 20 on a really tough day.
Yeah.
But generally between like 10 to 20, you had people like our hair and makeup, Summer Baki, where she's got to apply makeup, but also some makeups don't work in below zero temperature, right? And she's out there and she's got to apply stuff, and then it's hard for her. So then Jason Thomas, our art department, is in there and he's like helping her. It's not even his department.
Yeah.
But, just because you're almost in, I don't know, I think it kind of helped. I don't know if you want to call it like Strasberg method directing or anything, but it's like we're in this environment of survival. Everyone's working together. And I think it helps the film that we're in that kind of mode, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Everyone, especially with my kids, they've never acted before. They've never done a movie. My wife is in investment management, and she was working 40 hours, 50 hours a week. And then she'd come home and shoot her scenes. And then she'd take the kids and then go to an Airbnb because we're shooting at my house. And she's never acted before either. So it's just like,
I was going to ask, is it at the house you're at now?
Yeah.
Because I was, from the moment you came on, I was like, that's so weird. Maybe they just shot in the same neighborhood with like similar houses. Because I was like, that looks so much like the house. Like, that's so crazy. Like, that's so cool.
My writing demands that. Thanks. Yeah. No, my writing demands very specific. No, I'm kidding. No,
is the little nook a real thing?
So I don't know what. So you write what you take advantage of when you can write something. Take advantage of it. And I have no clue what that room's for. Like, we just always had it. There's like a door and it's like this room. And I'm like, well, what could this be for? Was it maybe like a tool shed? But it's so small. You're like, well,
right.
Lawnmowers weren't that small back then. Like, what could have this possibly been for? And so if we ever sell the house, we still have like the bloody claw marks and the nails that are ripped off. So that'll be like interesting for like, oh, in this room, like, oh, is that a 911 call? I don't know. Like, but yeah. So we have a little over 5.5 acres. And so the entire film was shot on that. So even though we had, I think we shot for 40 locations.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool. Because you made it seem like abyss isn't probably the right word. It's sprawling. It seems so sprawling, like the land around where you were. Yeah. It just seemed like it seemed like we were miles and miles away from like everything. And it was just isolated. It was very isolated, which I thought was really cool.
Thank you. Well, and that's an element you have to have, because otherwise, why didn't the kids just go to the neighbors? Right. Like, right. Like, why didn't they just walk away? Like your question earlier, well, they just leave. Like, yeah, they couldn't.
Exactly.
Right. Like, it's just not, unless they're kids. But yeah,
It's,
this idea that everything's 40 miles away. But yeah, just taking advantage of all that stuff.
yeah.
Shooting. It was, it was interesting my wife is very headstrong. She's very type A. So shooting scenes with her and directing her went from like 0 to 60, where she's like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want to look stupid. I've never acted before. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm just like, okay, so I just feel like, if you were an owl, and she's like, "Will you shut the fuck up? An owl? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, be serious." And I'm just like, remember that fight we had 2 nights ago? Like, dude, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, shut up, go over there. I'm just like, oh, sorry. But no, she was really, I thought she was a really good sport about it. And I think, we've been fortunate that a lot of the critical reviews from critics from magazines and stuff have been very generous. That, like, out of the, I think, 11 we've gotten from magazines, all of them. And there was one that was like, I think I get that 3.5 out of 5, but otherwise all of them have been like very, like, it's one of those things where you're like, pinch me or cut me or something is real, that they really, like, they like the film that much. And she's been getting a lot of compliments about her acting.
That's cool.
And the people too are like, and then like on Instagram, people are like, "Oh yeah, I recognize her from this movie or whatever." It's like, no, you don't. Like, you definitely don't. Right? Like, oh, she was better in that series. I love the limits of criticism. I thought she was a lot better in that series where she was with I can't remember what it was. Somebody's like, the woman that plays the wife of the children was better in the series with Ray Romano and Phoebe. I can't remember, whatever. I was just like, that's not what that's not her, right? Whatever. Or then we get like shitty. Sometimes people are like, oh, that 3-year-old or 2.5-year-old was terrible. Like, where'd they cast her? And it's like, she's 2.5. Like, what? How much more real can you get? Like, you can't get any more real than what she's doing.
It's just authentic, right? At that point. And it's interesting because your son, I thought he excelled when he would call you like poopy head and stuff. Like, there's a couple of scenes where he's like, "You're a jerk head," and I was like, "It seems," and I didn't know it was your son, so I was like, "Huh." I was like, that seemed very like like comfortable. He felt very comfortable saying that, and I was like, that seemed like he's said that to this guy a few times. So I was like, when I realized it was your son, I was like, "Oh, okay, got it."
Thank you. He did. I'll tell him. He did. And here's, I would get frustrated with him as his dad, because I'm like, okay, especially the first few days of shooting, like, as a dad, you're like, okay, your lines, right? And he's like, yep. And he's like, what are they? And then you say like, okay, you're going to say that, here's these 4 lines. He's like, okay, got it. And you're like, oh, he's going to embarrass me. Like, no, he doesn't. There's no way he's got this. And he never missed a line.
That's
ever.
Awesome.
I was just like, whoa. And then he never missed a mark. And in fact, his main complaint was that he's like, I said, did you enjoy making movies? He's like, no, super boring. You do the same thing over and over again because these adults screw up or whatever. I'm just like, oh, that's Hollywood, baby. No, but he's like,
welcome to
he's just weird. Yeah, exactly. But he was, it's interesting because in real life, he's very stoic, and unfortunately for him, he inherited my bit.
Yeah.
So he looks like he's serious and angry all the time, and he's just he's a lot more. I would say he's an introvert, but he's like between extrovert and introvert. He can be fully happy by himself. Like, he's just chill. Yeah. Whereas my daughter is just like, I don't. If you took Adderall and mixed it with meth, I think that's what she drinks every morning without it seeing. Like, I don't know what's going on.
It's funny because she's not very like how do I say this? She doesn't come out that way in the movie, but like I got the you get the vibe from her. She's like that in the movie. I don't know how to explain it. Like her character isn't like bouncing off the walls, but you're like, this little girl's got the energy. It's in there. Like you could feel it. Like,
when I pick them up, they go to a school called Highland Catholic, and we're not Catholic, but it's a great school for like
yeah,
great school for everybody. So we go there, and it's like everyone knows her, and it doesn't matter what she's in first grade. It doesn't 8th grade, kindergarten, preschool. Everyone is like, "Hey, Brooke, hey, Brooke," and she's like, "Oh, that's John, and that's Ryan, and that's Emily, and that's Emma, and you're just like, what? How do you know all these
Mayor.
people? Like, what? Yeah, exactly. So and she in a good way. Like, she's not,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, she's like super bright energy. But yeah, when being at, at 2.5, they have like their energetic time in the morning and then nap time. And then kind of, so we always tried to get her right as she got up from nap or,
Yeah.
and she's great running around with crew and everything.
That's awesome.
They did really good. Yeah. She was like, I don't know if there's a set mom, she would be like the set daughter, I guess, or set pixie or whatever, running
Everyone's
around like
kid there. Yeah.
yeah. So she was just like she was great. And then our dog too. We have this 11-pound rescue, and I think for me as a director, I would say she stole the show. Like the ability for her to sit and lay and yawn.
Yeah, when you said that your dog was in it, I could not believe that because your dog plays Scout in the movie. Is that your dog's real name?
Scout.
Okay. When you said that was your dog, I was like, get the fuck out of here, because that dog was hitting its marks, baby. Like that dog was nailing it. Would go up, do the cry when he needed to. Very, very impressive.
She always barked at the right people and attacked the right people. And then when she does I don't want to spoil it, but when she does the thing where she taps him, she did that like 3 takes in a row where she taps him.
Crazy. That's crazy.
But
that's nuts.
It's just a wonderful, she's a fantastic dog. And the other thing too is that it's crazy because she loves being outside in the cold, which is insane because she's 11 pounds and there's no meat on her whatsoever.
Yeah.
And she just loves, and I'm like, okay, we got to put something on her. So that's why she has a wardrobe. So, once again, Carrie Riley showing up with the like downfilled dog vest, whatever. And, I'm just like, whoa, but also made her pop more for camera when she's doing her action stuff. And then, so it was, I would say, all in all, I really lucked out with a great crew, great cast. It wouldn't have been possible to do without them. We had a phenomenal. Awesome. Like, I'm going to do shout outs real quick because they're phenomenal. But like Rachel Palashewski, Charlie Gruszewski, Chris Goodson, Courtney Blythe, they're all phenomenal producers. And they really, I think, no matter how much or little they did, because some of them did shit and got credit for it. Fuck those people. No, I'm kidding. They didn't. There was no one. They all, not only did they do a lot of work, but they were able to keep this kind of morale up, right? Which is just not, I don't even know if you want to call it morale. It's just like this great tone, this great attitude on set where everyone, like you could feel the energy when people came, and then the idea that they didn't want to leave, I think was just phenomenal for us. And it was a great experience for my family. Like I think, and that has a lot to do with it too. I think people in general are good. Right. So then when they're coming into someone's home and dealing with their family, it feels more intimate, right? Like you've been invited and kind of protecting that. So that was great. But we had, we just had phenomenal. And then we had it's one of those things where we had all kinds of crazy things go wrong, where we would have actors that, again, we were shooting at like the end of COVID, like the Omicron, whatever, where people are still like, oh, what's this new variant? Like, are we all like, whatever. Yeah. So you just didn't know, right? No one knew. And so we had 2 actors that ended up bowing out like a day before their shoot. So a day before they're supposed to arrive on set, we had 2 actors telling us they're not coming. So we scrambled. It was just like, oh shit. But then we had 2 great actors come in that did a phenomenal job. And for both of them, it was their first movie as well.
Wow.
And so getting them set and ready to go, I think as far as they're concerned, I don't want to say who they are, but
Sure.
I would guess that most people are going to be like, this is probably their 50th film, right?
Yeah.
But well, for one of them, they weren't that great, so maybe 10th film. But they were both phenomenal. Like it was just being able to sit, I think, and talk with an actor and figuring out, okay, what are they comfortable with? Well, how far can I push them? How far can I not push them? And then getting that performance from them is really in them. You just have to kind of pluck it, right? And then you get, I think if you're really lucky, there's just those moments that you capture that you didn't anticipate and you were hoping you'd get something on top of hoping. I mean, there's like a scene where my wife comes, like I don't want to give that away either. That's the hard thing about making twists and turns in a movie. You're like, and then the thing happened with the other thing, and you know what, that thing was good, but the other thing before the thing, but yeah. So there's a moment where she like slides into the snow, and the snow just cascades right over the camera.
Yeah.
And that's because she missed her mark, but it looked awesome, right? And so it's just like, yes, we're using that in the film, right?
Happy accident.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. So that was we were fortunate with that. But again, I think because you're dealing with being naked in the snow and dealing with weather being so crazy, everyone's in that kind of, I don't want to say survival mode, but
it's sort of like a vulnerability, and especially I think with like the family nature of it, I feel like maybe there was like a lot more vulnerability on set where people could loosen up a little bit more. Like, okay, like we're safe here,
Yes, I think you're right. I think that's it. I think you nailed it. Like, I think for a lot of, especially for my wife, there's a couple of dramatic scenes, and it's obviously they're actually her kids.
Yeah.
Right. And so you would think like, oh, that's easy. She just said they're actually her kids. That should be easy. But not even in real life, you're in front of like 20 people and a camera and lights.
Right.
And it's like, okay, wait, we got to do this. Like 10 more minutes, we're setting this up. She's sitting in the same spot in the snow, waiting to do this emotional scene. Like you remove any kind of aspect of like, oh, mindset and whatever. Plus the kids are sleeping. Right. So they're not even the same house. But yeah, they're being able to do that again. I think, like you said, have that safe level of safety. That feeling. So it was just like, I think that was the hardest part of the film. Was like, I think if we could get the emotionality out of it, like the emotional connection, then that heightens the fear. Right? Because we do have aspects. Thank you.
I think you nailed that for sure. That was the thing for me, and I don't know whether it's being a parent or what, but it's that comes through for sure for me. The emotion of it, and it is like I said, I was not expecting it, and that end, it just kind of, you're like, oh wow, holy shit! Like it kind of hits you. It kind of all hits you, and I thought the end, you guys nailed the landing on that one. Yeah, no worries. So I've got just a few more and then I can let you go. But these are my top ones. I had so many other ones. So I'll have to bring you back on after your next project. Okay. So you wrote, direct, acted in this, probably a million other little roles, doing it on a small budget. You're like the Bill Russell of Celtics, like on this. You're doing everything, player, coach. Tough. Obviously, one of the hardest things. Which one do you love the most? And if you had a larger budget, would you have preferred to hand one of those off to someone?
So, which kid do I love the most?
Yes.
And I hand off one of them? That's a tough one. Scout for sure. No. I don't know. I don't see doing any project moving forward without directing and acting in it.
Okay.
I think I need that. I don't want to say it's a challenge. I just need, it's the stimulations I think that I'm addicted to.
Sure.
Like having, I think the creativity and then being able to capture what's in your head.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not good enough, but I don't know if I could just direct and then not act in it, right?
Yeah.
Or
I
I
don't
think
think
I
it's
could.
about being good though. Cause I think about this a lot, and especially with like directing writing, I think it's
Mhm.
really interesting for somebody to direct something they don't write. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I've never done it, period. But to me, it's like I would need to have some kind of investment into it where like it's coming from my brain. It would be so hard for me to take something and be like, okay, I'm going to take this now and make it. So I don't think it's even about like a lack of talent in any way. I think it's actually just it's a connection. And I think people, if that's your connection to it, then I think you're going to make a better movie, like doing that. You know what I mean? I don't think you should be afraid of, oh, I shouldn't act in this one. Cause it's like, okay, if that's what you need to do, cause you see it, then I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
better product.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I don't. It's crazy to me that this is, writing is really hard. It's a really hard industry to get
Yeah.
to break into. It's a really hard industry to continue to get paid for. Like it's
Yeah.
just insane. Like somebody told me the statistic the other day. Like it's easier to become a NASA astronaut than it is to get a WGA.
That's
Right?
insane.
Like right. Like that's crazy. So I don't handing off your baby that you've killed yourself to do emotionally, like writing where you're at the point where there goes Jack. You're writing at the point too where you're like getting yourself emotionally as you write trapped into your writing, like you're trying to
Yeah.
capture that in writing, and then to hand that off is just like crazy. Like here you go, take my baby. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
and then directing something like you said that you didn't at least help rewrite is like where's the investment in that,
Right.
right?
That blows
How
my
do you
mind.
do that? Yeah. But acting for me is the shit. Like I love
That's awesome.
acting. I love the way everything around it. I love film acting is so much different than theater acting where you have to be true to yourself and emote, but you can
Hmm.
capture the tiniest things on camera.
Right.
Like you can do the smallest of emotions, connect with people
Right.
at
Yeah,
such
that's a
a
good point.
final level. So I love that. And I went to I was a theater major in college. And so I did all the classical training in college, but then I was told that no one's going to pay $100 a ticket to watch someone like me perform Shakespeare. So then I was like,
I read that.
dog.
Seems a little fucking racist, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, I've wondered about that through the years because I was like, he's kind of a nice guy, but my advisor. But I was just like, was he saying the way like he's trying to help me the way like that's the way it is,
Mhm.
or was he just being racist? Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
so it's like, but that's why I became a cop. So I was like, well, I better go get a job. If I can't play
Yeah.
one, I'm going to go be one, and so.
Well, have you
But
ever heard that story of Adam Sandler's professor? He went to NYU and I don't know whether it was like filmmaking or acting or whatever it was, but his professor was like, you're never going to make any money and no one's going to pay to see you do anything. And Adam Sandler was like, all right, man, like cool. And then he ended up seeing him at a bar like years later, like way after his success. And he saw him at a bar. They were in New York City, saw him at a bar. And Adam Sandler like didn't even bring it up, was just like, I'll buy your drinks for you, man. And he was like, oh, okay. But it must be like such a good feeling to like debunk that. I mean, even with what you're doing, like that's gotta be like, hey, professor,
yeah, take a look at
check it
this.
out.
Well,
Yeah.
I think he died. So, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go at his grave, and no, I'm kidding.
Hey.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, no.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
but yeah, I think acting is for me. It's something that's cathartic, and you know, um, yeah. Again, having been a police officer, where you're doing a job that's really tough emotionally,
Yeah.
um, right? It's a tough job, right? And you have a lot of people that are very heroic in it. You have a lot of people that are so tough from both ends,
Yeah.
right? But then being able to act after having gone through a lifetime of that is kind of like, okay, this feels phenomenal. Like doing some of the stuff that I did. And I feel
Cathartic.
like, okay, yeah, leave that piece of me behind. Or I was in a kind of a comedy series, romantic comedy series, and doing comedy was also cathartic, but it's just a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of energy and you're just constantly up and everyone is up. And it's just like, so at the end of the day, you're just like, oh man, why am I so tired? Whereas doing like horror and action is like fucking fun. Like that is fun. Like just having, like I'll never, just not only the action, I love doing action scenes. I love the physicalness of the physicality.
Sure.
But then also having we had a tub probably the size of a sink and then kept catching enough blood in it so it wouldn't stain the wardrobe. Because again, totally tiny production. But like using it and watching again, Carrie Riley or head of wardrobe being like, oh no, don't, like we only have one pair of pants for this, whatever. And like just tons of blood gushing down and coming out and everything. And then like capturing it, and then someone underneath, like, oh, like holding it. And then on top of your other actor and you're fighting them. And then watching her like, oh, don't get the lapel, but whatever. That's so much fun. Right. And then having an actor like, I can't give away the scene, but Peter being like, I remember at one point after like the first or second take, he's like, what the fuck are we doing? And I was just like, well, it's for the, in the script, we could do the thing. He's like, this is not at all what I thought it would be. And I'm like, well, just trust me. And then I think by the, like we had to do like 4 takes, right? Because we had to get coverage on it. And he's like, on the 4th take, he goes, oh, yeah, the scene from Aliens. I was like, yeah, yep. He's like, okay, but that's fun, right? Like all that stuff is so much fun, right? You're watching playback with everybody, especially when it hits, and everyone's watching the monitors, and you're just like, yeah, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we did it, whatever. That's it's just a phenomenal feeling. It's such a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
I really liked the action aspect in this too. I thought you guys nailed that also. I thought that was like really great. That comes through like the physicality and stuff. All right. I had like so many questions, but I'm going to skip to, wait. Oh, see, I want to ask this so bad. Okay. Wait. So I have a rapid fire section. So we've done it with Mick Garris. They're very not rapid fire, by the way. We don't, it just turns into a conversation about something else. But the one thing, because of your police background, I wanted to bring up, Lexi's binging Dexter right now. So she was like, talk about Dexter. And I was like, okay, we're going to skip Dexter though. The more important one that I just recently brought up on the show. Do you remember, I feel like we might be in the same age range. Do you remember Dennis Franz showing his ass on NYPD Blue?
So I remember when people are like, what's the most horrible thing you've ever seen on TV? I think, I remember that. I remember the blonde woman being naked and seeing like,
oh, so you, okay.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that really well, but I don't remember, like, was it Dennis Franz or was it the red-haired?
No, it wasn't Jimmy Schmitz. If that's
no. Remember the red hair guy who was like season 1 and 2, really good actor.
Oh no, it was Dennis Franz. It was Franz for sure. I only know it's because I had to Google it because I thought about it one day, and of course because we don't actually talk about the movies we cover.
It's not just screensaver on your phone or anything.
No, but I did watch it. It was such a big deal at the time. I don't know. So anyway, that was my one. I was like, what's a police question? And that's the one I came up with.
So it's interesting you say Dennis Franz, because when I remember when I'd call people and then I'd show up, they would be like, so they talk to them on the phone first, and I'd show up and they're like, I was expecting Sipowicz. I wasn't expecting you. I sound like Sipowicz? Like, let's go, Of course, I'm happy now, so I talk this way. But back then I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. So maybe.
All right. Rapid fire stuff. Let me just make sure because there's a bunch I wanted to talk to.
Well, keep Lexi happy. Is there anything else she wants to know?
No. We don't have to keep her happy. She just wants. 11/22/63 was her. That was her big one. That was her big moment. Okay. So rapid fire. I'm going to start with the one that requires the most thinking, and I'm now working it into every rapid fire question. So we did
Like the Brandon Lee rapid fire, or like the like, I'm kidding.
That was wait. I wasn't sure if that was a Crow joke or not, but
yeah, no, I don't. Maybe I don't know. Have you seen Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee? Excellent.
No, but I thought you were talking about the rapid fire that happened on the set of The Crow. That
that wasn't. That was like, horrible. No,
like,
still too soon. Still too soon. That was terrible. No, I would never joke about that. Yeah, yeah, that movie's awesome. He could have been phenomenal.
He could have been.
Talk about life cut way too short. Like he was. Yeah, I was ashamed of being not white my whole life up until I think in college. We were watching, I don't remember whose room, but it was, in college, you like sit in the dorm room and you like 20 of you were sitting there watching a movie that somebody rented.
Yeah.
And I remember we watched Rapid Fire, and then we watched The Crow, and I was like, oh, like because of him, I was like, oh, it's okay. Like everyone here is like, oh, this guy's a hero and whatever. So that was like the first time I was like, oh,
that's awesome.
I don't have to be white or whatever.
Representation matters so much, and I don't think people even fucking realize it. It really fucking matters when people get to see something like that on the screen. I don't know. That's a whole other thing, but it does matter. It impacts people heavily when you can see stuff like that and you're like, oh fuck. Like all right, rapid fire. So this is the first one. We did Japanuary recently, where we covered the Japanese,
the ones that were the ones that were remade, or the
yes, we did both. Each week we would do
the what?
Oh,
yeah,
thank you. So on. It turned out that it happened in multiple of them where these ghosts were haunting bathrooms, and these people were in the bathrooms and the ghost would attack them in the bathroom. Are you wiping or are you not wiping if the grudge ghost attacks you on the toilet?
So there is no possibility anyone is in the bathroom with me when I'm going to. Like, I don't care if you're dead or whatever. They're just like, whoa, fuck this. Not worth it. Let's go haunt the next person. Like, what else died, or how many other of us are going to come out of the toilet? Like, what?
Oh, this motherfucker's already dead. We don't need to be here.
Yeah,
let's get.
But like the little boy from The Grudge. Like, come on, you have kids. Are you? You're on the toilet and you're just like, leave me alone. Like, you're not. Take off all the white paint. Get out of here. Just like, just give me 2 fucking minutes. I can't. I'm away from my kids and I get this ghost. Fuck you. Like, just wait.
Done.
Yeah. So I guess for sure wiping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget where I landed on that. I feel like I go back and forth on it, but I feel like I definitely do. I definitely wipe. But that's because it's not because of it's embarrassment. I don't want people to find my body. I want to be like sometimes I think about if I was like attacked. I feel like I wouldn't even scream because I'd be like, I don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's common with guys. That's common with guys, right? Like, I'm not going to make a noise. I don't want to be embarrassed. Like, what if somebody saw me not winning a fight? But I think the bigger issue too is like, I can't remember if it was The Ring or The Grudge or whatever, where was it the one person had their jaw ripped off?
Oh yes,
right, when they came up the stairwell.
Yeah.
So that was like, but still had their eyeballs, and pink eye sucks. So if you're not wiping, you're going to get a horrible case of pink eye.
And that's even.
And jaw or no jaw, people are going to be like, oh, like,
that guy.
Help this guy. No.
That guy touched his eye. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My God.
All right. Favorite. I'm trying to find the ones that I like the most. And those are fun. Okay. So favorite horror movie monster.
Man, because I think we get back to the ice cream thing. Like, horror is such a great breath.
Tough.
Everything, right? Like, depends on my mood, depends on time of year, depends on boy. And the other crazy thing too about horror is like, you look at sometimes you think about like, oh, obviously Alien or Bruce or Sam or like all the different, like the shark and the kid and everything else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like those are scary, but sometimes you have the juxtaposition of something really beautiful
Yeah.
that's like made like it's not a horror movie, but there was that Battlefield Alita or whatever that
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly
it,
what you're
it
talking about.
so nothing's been more shocking to me than or I shouldn't say nothing, but I was really shocked when at the very end Jennifer Connelly's character is like just eyeballs and a brain, the spinal cord floating in the tank.
Yes.
And I
Yes,
thought
yes,
that
yes.
was she's so gorgeous inside and out. And then all of a sudden you see her like her organs floating, and you're just like, and she's alive still. Like that's horrific, right? Like that's terrible. And you're just like, gotta make a sequel just to get her a body again. Like, but you know, I don't that's tough. I really like the host. I thought that was really
Oh, that's a fun one.
yeah, right? Like
I like
that
big
monster
monsters.
I do too. Like it's hard to make them scary, and for some reason, you know,
They should be scarier than they are.
yeah.
Like
Like
that
when
should
you
be
get to
terrifying.
Godzilla size or right, like
Yeah.
it's so massive, it's like, he's taking a
Yeah.
big step. It's going to take 2 days for him to come down that step. We have time. You want to grab something to eat, whatever. Where like Bong Joon-ho's like guppy monster thing,
Yeah.
right?
I'm also a big I am an advocate of bringing back some furry monsters. We think we need some furry monsters. We
Well,
haven't
like
had it in a while. Critters is good, but I want a big one. I want a big furry guy like King Kong, but King Kong's done. I'm done with King Kong, but I love King Kong. But I want just a furry monster. They don't all have to be lizard like, They don't have to be
no.
slimy. Give me
When
some
you say that, 'cause
fur.
it feels like a lot of the latest science fiction movies, they're all like a four-legged tentacle monster.
It's it. That's all we
Right?
get now. Give
Yeah,
us
it's
just like a weird fur thing, like a
yeah,
fur ball.
some creepy thing that Attack the Block. I love those.
Attack the
Those
Block is
guys.
awesome.
Yeah,
Attack the Block is fucking great. I love Attack
yeah.
the
Where
Block.
it's like so dark, like you looks like your hand would get absorbed into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Glowing
yeah.
teeth, like genius,
I
genius,
love it.
creative,
Yeah,
so unique. Like who says new ideas are dead? Come on.
yeah. Favorite movie snack?
Hmm. So I do enjoy anime,
Okay.
and regardless of how like crazy, like Parasite's pretty good horror anime. If you like
Yeah,
or Don Zero, but anime
Gon Zero
food,
is crazy.
yeah, that was like insane, right? Like, but their food looks way better than real food, and it's a 2D cartoon, right? But every time they eat, you're like, damn, that looks good. Like my cup of noodle does not look like their cup of noodle. I don't
It's
know
like the
what
Ninja Turtles pizza. Like,
Yeah,
give me that fucking pizza. Like that pizza was unreal. I could have.
yeah.
I would eat the shit out of that. The food in anime does look amazing. It.
Yeah.
What's your favorite anime right now?
My son loves Demon Slayer, and that's solid,
That's what my
right?
son's into now. Demon Slayer is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. But I like Vinland Saga. It's not horror, but it's good. It's interesting to see Scandinavian Viking lore through the
That's
eyes
cool.
of Japanese
Yeah.
anime.
I love what they make. I love when they branch out. Like there's animes about basketball and volleyball and stuff, and like you're like, what the fuck is this? And it works. It works. They know what they're doing. Have you ever seen Fooly Cooly FLCL? Check it out. It's really good. It's a one. It was a one off. Yeah, FLCL. It's what you're like if you Google that. It's like a one off. I think it's like 6 episodes. It was made in like the early 2000s. So good. So good. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, those are cool. Okay. I don't want to keep you too long because your children look like they want to hang out with them.
Good older brother.
Okay, one horror one horror remake that shouldn't happen.
Here's the thing. I think I know all the like 8 out of the 10 highest grossing films last year were remakes
Yeah,
or kind of
crazy.
different, not necessarily remakes, but they're adaptations or something, right? Like are in the universe. Um, I it's tough because I think some films just shouldn't be made. Is there a time capsule into, like, you look at the
Yeah.
thing with right, or yeah, like the thing is, or Highlander,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a snapshot of that time in our history. And when stuff happens in Highlander, like the guy goes on the, like you have that weird guy gun nut that tries to shoot the Kurgan and he lifts him up, whatever. And you're just like, oh, that must have been the culture in the 80s that,
Yeah.
crazy gun, whatever. Same thing with like the thing, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, there's better technology today, or even Jaws, right? Why don't we remake Jaws? Because, don't touch a good thing. You
Right.
mess with it, it's not going to be as good. And also, we don't have the mid-level $10 million, $20 million production. We don't even have $5 million productions that studios are kicking out like they used to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have, you wouldn't have Critters or Highlander or
Right.
RoboCop or any of those awesome films from the
Yeah.
80s, right? Or Gremlins or anything like that.
Yeah.
We lose all that because studios aren't making those projects now. So stuck in remake world, and IP is king or queen, and it's just like,
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah. So we don't have anything unique anymore, right? If you want to do something unique, it's like scrape together every penny you have and steal.
And I wonder what the time is going to be like. What is the ideal time frame for when you can? Because it's weird. So right, like The Thing is a remake of that terrible one from the 50s. I don't care if anyone likes it. It sucks. It's not a good movie. And so, but like,
It's got the guy from Mission Impossible. What are you talking about?
right?
Peter
So
Graves.
yeah. So, like I mean, I don't know how that production happens. I don't know if like Carpenter saw that and was like, I want to remake that or whatever it was. But it was like, when are we going to get to a point where we can do a remake? I'm not opposed to remakes. And I've actually, producer Lexi I made her buy into my philosophy, which was like, I'm not just against them just because they're a remake, because you still have that original one, right? You can always go back to that guy. It doesn't really matter. This thing's just whatever. They're not married together, right? But what I don't like about remakes is the lack of authenticity and originality, and you're not creating anything new. I wonder if there's like a time span for something like The Thing where it came 30 years after. And I think it's just going to take somebody being like, okay, I'm going to remake it, but I'm not going to remake the fucking movie. I'm going to change it entirely. Like The Thing, right? Or The Fly, or, where it was like, yeah, I know this thing exists. I like this like core story, but I'm going to do just something fucking nuts with it. And I don't know whether it's because those movies are so good that we had to like get away from that or what, but I don't know. I hope we can get to a point where the remakes are a little bit more authentic, I guess,
Yeah.
or original if they're going to do it.
Can you hear me okay still, Lexi?
Yeah. That
You good?
you're working. Oh shoot.
Still good? The level's still good? Okay,
Yeah.
because my earphones died. We talked so long, my earphones died. But
Oh shit.
yeah, I think I'm kidding. So I don't. Yeah, I think too. If it's based on a book, right? I think it's just. I think it's William Friedkin that said that is like he did that awesome movie, The Sorcerer,
Yeah.
right? And that was actually there was one that was made 20 years before that, and he was always like, it's not a remake. He said, how many Hamlets have been produced, right?
Yes.
It's just a different version. It's my interpretation of the book. And so, I think in that case, totally fine.
Yeah,
And like you're
I'm with you.
saying,
I said that to Mick Garris too, actually, that point exactly,
yeah,
which was like the source material. It depends on the source material. Like if
yeah,
a book is like the perfect example where it's like, is that a remake? Because we're talking about we're talking about this source material right here that like
yeah,
you can take and make something out of,
right. Yeah. I think again, though, if a movie, like I do appreciate what they did with whatever that latest version of the thing was. Where,
Oh yeah, that was weird though. Yeah,
yeah,
that one was weird because again, that was like, okay, let's just make that 80s one. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, well, but I still enjoyed it, right?
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Was
Totally
weird.
enjoyable, but or like the Last Voyage of the Demeter, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I enjoyed it, but it's just is that a remake of, you know, four other movies that kind of delved into the same thing?
Right.
Or is it just a new adaptation of an already existing smaller story that happened in a bigger
Yeah.
story? Right. So, yeah, I guess I feel like if we weren't in a kind of, if we weren't starving for new stuff,
Yeah.
then yeah, like I
Yeah.
would
That's true
say,
too.
yeah, you know,
That's true. That's probably a better thought process on it. It's all, we're relying on those and we don't need to rely on that
no.
stuff. And
Well,
it's not passion, right? It's a studio being like, somebody remake this movie for us because we're going to lose the rights to it if we don't readapt
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
So
Pay them, make it. Well, it
yeah,
doesn't have to be good. We'll just market it. And then, yeah.
exactly.
And so this is where I say, I will never make a remake. I'll never do a studio movie. So I get an offer from a studio and, you know, because
And I'm remaking the shit out of that.
yeah, exactly. Right. Like, oh,
No,
you want to
I
remake
get
Talk to Me? Go ahead. Yeah. I mean, it only came out 2 years ago, but here you go. Like, you know,
it.
I never do that. Well, here's more money. Okay. I guess I could.
Hey,
You know,
I got some ideas. I got some.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I've
yeah,
been
no,
thinking about that. Yeah.
right. Yeah, no.
All right. I will leave. Producer Lexi sent me a message here. So, because this was a question she wanted to ask, because I wasn't sure how big of a horror fan you were. So I was like,
Okay.
I don't know if I can ask that. So she just reminded me. So I can't ask it now. It'll be our last question.
Okay.
Who who directed Poltergeist? Was it Tobe Hooper or was it actually Steven Spielberg?
So, Tobe Hooper.
Okay.
Spielberg produced it.
Yeah, but did he? Or did he? It looks
No,
like a
he did.
Spielberg movie.
It does, but I think so now you get into a bigger problem, right? Like Tobe Hooper, right? Big director
Yeah.
by all rights, but
Yeah.
it's Spielberg. I mean, how do you, when Spielberg says, "Hey, Toby, maybe for this scene when his face is falling off in the sink, can we like do it up more? Like
You
do
know
this?"
what?
You know,
I think that's the best answer to this. I think that's truly like that. I think you just nailed it. I think that's the best answer. It's like he was probably just like, yeah, how about some more blue lights? You ever see
yeah,
E.T.? Let's
right.
I got a
Yeah.
lighting guy for that.
Yeah, let's. I have this guy. You might know him. He's a cinematographer that everyone talks about. Hard to pronounce his last name, but and since we are already over budget, I've always been scared of trees. So we should have a tree. Toby Hooper's like, oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Sure, man.
Like I just watched the first 5 minutes of this new series on Apple with Seth Rogen, and I can't remember what it's called, like the
Oh, the
studio.
studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like the opening sequences with Peter Berg, right?
Mhm.
Like really good at action movies.
Yeah.
And Seth Rogen's playing this executive, studio guy. And he's like, hey, Peter, I just had like one quick idea. And he's like, and I'm sure he said this a million times, but Peter Berg's like, oh, no, we don't have time for more ideas. Thanks, bud. And they just walks away.
He said I'm actually gonna my plan was to actually watch that tonight, but because I've been like so stoked on that. But some of the interviews with Seth are really interesting because he said he's been like hanging out with all the studio heads and stuff, and like this is like truly capturing it. So it's a cool thing. But
yeah, I look forward to it. I like watching. And so there was one on Max. It was a British production, and I can't remember what that was called either. It was essentially like a send up of Marvel, the franchise.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I it's on my list to watch.
But when you watch that, it's like, people that love film and love the process of film, you're just like, yes. And they like, yep. And it's like all these jokes and you're just like, yep, like, yep. Oh, you're doing well, do whatever you want. Oh, you're not doing well. Well, we're going to have so-and-so from the studio babysit you now, or we're going to make you put these products in the film. And you're just like, oh, this is anything but creative. And how do you foster creativity in an environment like that? You don't. Right? It's just horrible. But then again, $10 million, a lot of money to make things, like,
Put a Pepsi can in it.
yeah, exactly. Like and when you get I think when you're at that level, to navigate that, I think you've dealt with so many different things that enable you to kind of, you're going down the river and there's a bunch of rapids and you're able to avoid the like shores of shit, right? You just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to continue down these rapids and I can deal with those because you know what they are versus like, oh, I don't want to land. I don't want to stop there. That's either sand or a pile of shit. And I don't want to find out,
Yep.
so, but yeah. Yeah. Any other rapid? God, that's not very rapid.
No, they're not very rapid. They're never rapid, and I don't know why I call them rapid fire. I don't know why I do it that way. No, I don't think so. I think some of them are good, some of them are bad. I was sick, so I prepped this very late. Let's see. Let me see if I have one more. Well, see, that one always. It's like, what's the favorite? Okay, how about this one? One piece of advice for somebody wanting to make a horror movie.
Ooh, one piece of advice. I mean, making movies hard, regardless of what it is. Like, it is fucking hard. And I think the best piece of advice I ever got, and again, only by the grace of God that I'm in the film industry to begin with. Like, I just so lucky to be in the film industry because unless you're a Nepo baby or you're somebody that went to school with somebody, or, typically it's your dad is friends with another dad, or they went, just littered with Ivy League people. They're all really smart. They're all really successful. But unless you have a way, or you have a friend or a friend of a friend, almost impossible to break into, right? It's really hard. And I think so being on that inside, the best piece of advice I ever received was, you just got to go make it yourself. No one has quit. We're an industry, especially in LA, where everyone is like, oh, I'm this close to my big break. Like, I have been in 3 things. I am so close. Like, I thought I was cast in a movie solely for acting right before COVID hit. I'm like, oh, big break. Here we go. COVID hit. No, like, just, shit on that dream. And it's just like, but that's, even if that had done, I've been in that and had done well, and it was, like had taken off, but still, what's next? Like, you're always just a step away, or you're an elevator ride away from success. And that's just not true, right? Like, we all want to believe in that. So the best piece of advice I ever got was, if you want to do it, you just got to go do it yourself. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal from everyone I know. And fortunately, we had an investor that's like, yeah, I love the script. Let's here's some money. Go make this.
I think,
and then I did that. And I think until you do that, no one's going to care, right? No one's going to want to, doing this first movie was close to impossible to cast because a lot of people are like, unknown quantity, right? Because I've never directed a film before. So people are like, wait, who knows? He could be insane. He could get on set. He could have like a spitting problem, or maybe he doesn't wipe after he poops. And, who knows? Like, this guy could just be insane. So you have all those issues you have to deal with. But I think, but if you want to do it yourself and just talk to and read as much as fucking possible. Like, you can't Google enough because there's so much. It's hard, and going up a mountain, and you're like Sisyphus trying to push that boulder up, right? And then you get the movie made and you're like, oh, I can breathe. And then all of a sudden it's like, now you have to do the music cue sheets, and you have to get insurance, and you have to know what you get the M&E rights, and you have to make sure those are set, and then make sure there's nothing in the film that's wrong, and then you have to do finishing, and then you have to get distribution. And once and I think a lot of people, another fatal flaw for a lot of people is that you made this movie and you killed yourself doing it, and you got a lot of people to believe in you, and they're hoping that it does well too. And then the first offer people get. They're just desperate because they want people to see their movie, and then they take that. And some other great advice I got was don't screw up, don't rush the distribution, don't rush who you sell it to, don't rush who acquires the film. And I think that is kind of advice that no one wants to hear, but is absolutely true.
Yeah,
Of your movie.
that's a good one. I think that's a great one because I think that is actually something that can kill you and kill your movie and goes away, like, and you don't even have the rights to it anymore,
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think Eli Roth is a great person. If you can listen to his, I don't know if he has a podcast or whatever, but I think it's invaluable to watch as many director commentaries as possible.
Yeah.
And Eli Roth is great, especially in the horror genre, where he just lays it out on the table. Yeah. Like he just tells it the way it is. And you're just like, oh shit, you learn so much from just listening to Eli Roth, right? Yeah. Like just doesn't hold anything back. And I love how he's like, if you want to be a director, I know he's essentially taking the quote, like success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan, right?
Oh.
But Eli Roth's version is like, if it's good, everyone's going to say, I did it, not him. And if it sucks, they're going to be like, it's the fucking director's fault. He's like, Eli Roth is like, fuck you. Was that vase supposed to be in the shot? No. Well, it's your fucking fault. And did the actor do a good job in that scene? No. Well, it's your fucking fault. And it's just like, I guess that's a colorful way of saying, you have to be willing to take on the responsibility. And in a world where you get to play a lot, you have to have your kind of adult pants on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Great answer. Love it.
Thank you.
This is your monologue.
Yeah.
All right. So, Uncontained, you can watch that on Screambox. What's next? What's going on next? Do you have any thing coming up now?
Probably the sequel.
The ending had a little after credits moment.
I think, and that's one of the problems is that I've been hearing from a lot of people. If you watch it on Amazon, the next selection that you have in your queue kicks in before the post credit scene. So post credit scene, but we were fortunate to have that post credit scene and get. I don't want to give away who did it, but it was nice that they agreed to do it. Right. Because it's also keeping in line with family. Yeah. Like that's family, right? I don't want to give that away, but, that was fortunate. And then having, that allowed us to do a song with Coco Quinn, who's like this great singer.
Yeah.
So Chromosomes, who they composed the original score for the movie, and then they produced all the songs. They remixed one of her songs. And so it's like an original song for this movie, but she's a phenomenal singer and she's a phenomenal person to work with. Like cool. There's two people I met that I didn't know before. And that was Charlie Grishevsky, who's the editor, and then Coco Quinn. And they're just like very fortunate to have them, to get to work with them and then have them know them and have them in my life. So that's, it's one of the many things that come out of film. Otherwise, everything else sucks. Fantastic.
So, all right, that's awesome. Well, we'll have to have you on again because I have like a million questions, and I could talk to you forever about like some of that industry stuff. Like I could talk about the streaming, the technical side of that stuff is like I could talk about that for hours because it just drives me crazy. But
the streaming, streaming is. It's interesting. All this stuff. I love learning new things that again, being fortunate enough coming from like the bigger budget stuff, you never see.
Yeah.
Like, because they have whole divisions working, hundreds of people working on that. Right. Whereas when you're indie and you're by yourself, you're like, what? So like Amazon put up, and I didn't know that they deliver a month prior to the platform actually debuting.
Oh, so interesting.
So the Amazon, Apple, Fandango, YouTube, they all have they all have the delivered film a month prior to debut on their platform. And then one of the, they kind of, Cineverse is an awesome studio, but they both Apple and Amazon released the trailer before we were hoping to release it. Like we were hoping to release it like the
That's
2 days or
crazy.
the day of the premiere, and it was just like boop, like a month before the premiere. And so there's a great guy at Cineverse. His name is David Ehrlich, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll take care of that." And then he's like, "But just so you heads up, streamers are kind of do what they want. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to argue with Apple, you're going to argue with Amazon." And so he worked super hard to get those trailers down.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, like it was amazing. And again, I don't know how much of it is him or how much of it's Cineverse or maybe the combination of the two, but
Yeah.
Apple took it down like the next day,
Oh, that's
whereas
good.
Amazon left it up
Yeah.
and then they took it down, but then they took it down after the film came out. So, and I think,
Fucking nightmare.
it's probably not Amazon's fault. They're not obviously they're not doing it on purpose or maliciously
No,
at
yeah,
all,
yeah,
right? It's just that they got a bajillion films, right?
yeah.
And how many people, they could have 1,000 people working there and still not going to make a dent on answering emails and getting that stuff done. But it's interesting because they're so big, right? Like
Yeah.
Amazon is huge. Like it just, so when people are like, "Oh, streaming is destroying film," it's like, I'd argue that streaming saved film, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's like this weird. It's not the streaming that's the issue. It's what they're producing for streaming, I guess, or what the streamers are trying to now do with this like elevated power of like great in terms of reach, like can get it into the hands of millions of people. But then once they got that, then they're like, okay, now we're going to do things our way. Like our 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 algorithm says that they want to watch, it's got to be 2 hours because we pay for each minute. So we want the movie to be longer and like things like this, like where it's like, okay, let's just like go back to like, why don't you just take the movies people want to make? Like,
Yeah.
give the artists their money and see what comes out of it.
Yeah. Could the story, instead of breaking it down to a technical issue of we need this many views for this first 5 minutes.
Right.
And if you get the first 5 minutes, then you'll get the next 2 minutes. And if you get the next two, like instead of that, what? And also, I think to a certain extent too, this has already always existed, like with film festivals, right? Like
That's true.
films can't be more than 90 minutes. It's like, well, can't films be as long as it takes to tell the story?
Yeah.
Right. Like, where did that go? Right. And again, I know it's because studios aren't making movies anymore. Right.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
making one tentpole. But if they were back making movies like in the 80s and 90s or even the 2000s, right, we'd have enough films to satisfy people, but also still could be creative. Right.
Yeah.
And then they could be at any length. But
yeah,
I'm not I think like we talked before, film festivals to me, I think there's probably some great ones, but the idea that your film has to be less than 90 minutes and that you can hire someone, like you can hire these people that are, I don't know, wranglers or what, or middlemen or metal people that can, like, you pay them $1,000 and they can get you into a film festival because they know the judges or whatever. What the fuck is that?
It's crazy. It's a super weird industry. Yeah,
it is. And then on top of it, it's like, okay, for the really popular ones, who is actually spending the time to watch every single entry?
They're
right. No, the festivals have no problem taking the entry fee or whatever, but are they really? Is that a form of fraud? Do you say you're going to watch the film and you don't? You're just like, thank you, right? It's like, well, but no one will give the voice. Yeah, but who's going to give independent artists a voice? It's like, well, you're not. Don't pretend you are.
And that's happening too with like best of lists. So I just recently, for like at the end of the year, I was like, I'm going to watch all the best of 2024 horror movies. And so I took all the lists and they were all the same. They were all the same fucking movies. And I understand that, like, okay, yeah, the good ones are going to stand out, right? So then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go on IMDb and I'm just going to pull the top rated and make that list and just go through all of them. And I think it was like, I think I got up to like 60 or 70 movies I watched. And I went to, I had taken like the top 84 IMDb rated ones or whatever. And there's so many that were on there that no one had on their list. And I was like, this is crazy. One of them is Mads. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Dude, like, how is that not in the top 3 or 5 of a year? Like, that's fucking crazy. And it's not on a single person's list. And I'm like, sorry, I want to see that over Nosferatu. Like that was a genius concept, a different way of presenting zombies that like you've not really seen before. And like, isn't that what we're looking for? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's very odd. We're just in this like wormhole now of just like echo chamber of just like, this is what it is. These are the best ones. And everyone's like, yes, I agree.
I think you get into these like certain groups that will just kick out, like you said, echo chamber. It's like, oh, you got to see Hard Eyes. Hard Eyes, fantastic. Like, and it may be great, but that takes away from, who's actually finding the other foreign films or independent films or whatever that just strictly by content are phenomenal horror films that horror fans should see. And that's just drives me nuts. And the other thing that drives me nuts is that you get these, like, you go on a Letterboxd or you go Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, and you inevitably look at reviews. Like I know I'm not supposed to, but like the first week I couldn't help look at reviews, and I was like riding high because we're getting so many great reviews. And then, but the flip side of getting great reviews is then when you see the one bad review, you're like, what the fuck, whatever.
It
but
sucks.
It does, and then you're like, my son was looking up one, and he's like, Sarah A just said this was the worst movie ever. But then you click on her profile and it's the only movie she's ever rated. Right. So you're like, okay. And now are we getting into people gaming? Like, is that somebody from a competing film?
It for sure is. It for sure is 100%. I can guarantee you that. It happens with like the podcast thing. Like, you can sniff them out where you're like, dude, like you're another podcast. Like, just stop it.
Like what the fuck? Like, why would you? It's hard enough. Like, I'm all for supporting. Like, that's again, and I don't like to shit on any movie because the fact that people saw your movie is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. The sacrifice that you had to go through. I totally disagree with a filmmaker being like, oh yeah, fuck that film or fuck these. It's just like, are you kidding? It's like and that competitive thing again. Like, why do we need? There's so much space. There's not enough content. We don't need to be competitive. We should be like, no, man, you got to see this movie and you got to see that movie and this person's awesome and that it's like, I talked to the director of Frogman, Anthony Cousins.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, like he called up and he's like, great film, fantastic, good, and he's just like, whoa, this is so nice. Like, he's just like super nice guy, and here's a guy that like has the will to make something great and unique, right? But is also a great guy. Like, and that's, I think it's there, and the community needs to be there. I think we just need less of. I think the majority of the horror community is that way. It's just you have one or two that are kind of like shitty.
Well, what sucks is, most of them are great and they're like us and they're not going online and talking about it. And it's like, it's just these weird amplified voices because of the internet, and it sucks. But all right, I'm going to let you go. I got a producer Lexi's yelling at me because we have a call, I guess, tonight. So,
okay. And then 2 hours is your time limit for a podcast.
No, man, this was so much fun. I appreciate it so much. I honestly want to have you back on. So let's make that happen soon.
I love that. It's super fun to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much. And again, guys, Uncontained, it's on Screambox. Make sure you check it out. It was a blast. And it's a great movie. It goes by so fast. You blink and you're like, holy shit. And the ending's awesome. Stuck the landing. So, all right, everyone. Thank you all so much. And thanks to Morley.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sean. And Lexi too.